All right, all right, all right. We are live now, Mr. Aaron.
Yo, yo,
What up?
how's it going?
Good, good, good. Yeah,
It's
we're
been a
trying out this new remote podcast thing with Skype and all these cool embedded features and stuff. Having a little bit of technical difficulty, but we got it going.
yeah, we make do.
We make it work. Yeah, man. I'm kind of excited. Well, one to try out all the hardware to see if it works properly and all. But also because you're still in the Bay Area. For everyone that tunes into my podcast regularly, they know I lived in the Bay Area before, and I'm originally from LA, so I made a lot of friends out there. And Aaron being one of my good friends that still hangs out up there. So yeah, man, I had a lot of catch up to do with you. Wanted to ask you a bunch of questions about what's going on in the Bay Area right now in terms of cycling and in general, COVID and how it's affected everyone. But also, about you, what's going on with you, and how are things up there? So, without further ado, the homie Aaron on the pod.
Thank you. That's one heck of an intro. Yeah, I mean, I moved to the Bay Area about 5 years ago. I'm originally from Seattle, so I've been kind of all over since then. Like moved out of the house when I was 16, like hopped around towns for a while, but it's the longest I've been in one place for a while. And I really like it up here. And yeah, no, I got really lucky to meet you and your brother Josh when I did, and I had a lot of fun at your guys' shop, and you guys kind of sucked me into the SF cycling scene, which is my pretty much my entire life now, especially with COVID. So I'm grateful. I actually owe you for that, so thank you.
No, that's rad. Honestly, there's a lot of people in SF, and it's a big city full of people that come from all over the place, right? There's like, it's SF is known for like when the holidays roll around, there's hardly anyone there because everyone goes back
Empty,
to their hometowns,
empty, bro.
So I mean, SF is kind of known for that. But originally, like, where'd you come out to SF from?
I came out from Santa Barbara. Outside a small town called Ojai. I lived 2 years there. I finished up high school there, and I came out here for college, and kind of taking a break from that right now. That's online was fun until it wasn't.
That's rad. Yeah, and talking about bikes and stuff, like, well, I had the bike shop up there for a little while. I think something like 3 years, and it was cool while it lasted. There was a lot of cool things going on. Unfortunately, cost of living went real high, and it got a little difficult
Yeah.
for us to stay. But I do miss riding my bike out there, man. It's one of my, man. Look at. I'm a little heavier set right now. I wish I was
Man,
on
you
my
just had
bike.
a son. You should be eating and sleeping, and like, there's nothing wrong with being a little heavier set right now.
I did just have a baby. So little Oline was born 3 weeks ago. So that's been
Yeah,
really
see, three
exciting.
weeks ago, like, you shouldn't be doing anything but that right now.
No, it's babies are kind of cool. Like, it's not how people make it out to be. Like, it's not like babies are that like people make it sound like, oh, babies are gonna be so hard to take care of and this and that. But honestly, I find like if you're a responsible adult in any kind of way, you should be all right with a baby. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that big a deal. So I'm grateful that new things happening in my life, and I still have another bike shop down here, so I still try and do bike stuff, and I still
Yeah,
try and
I mean,
music stuff.
you say another bike shop, but it's basically the same bike shop. You just moved it to LA.
Yeah, it's the same. It's all literally it's the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same bike shop essentially.
You
No, you're
just keep the
absolutely right.
party and move it somewhere else.
Yeah, dude. So tell well, there's a few interesting topics I want to bring up with you besides bike stuff. But I've been because like the bike scene before I left San Francisco was kind of like active. There was a lot of messenger bike stuff going on. Are you still participating in the SFBMAs? I see you got the sweatshirt rocking right now.
Yep, I gotta rep it. Yeah, the SFBMA is in a tough spot, like along with everybody else right now. I mean, like, probably the soul of it was the meetings and the events, and like what you saw on the surface was probably a lot of the alley cats, and I'm sure you were a little bit more involved than like the average individual, just because like you were, sponsoring events and hosting stuff at your shop. Um, so there was that, but yeah, right now I think it's tough because a lot of the messengers that were really heavily involved at the core of the BMA were kind of older, and so now it's like, well, they can't really meet on Zoom or Skype because bike messengers don't know how the fuck to work Zoom or Skype.
Shit, we could barely make it work right now.
And we're like what, 24, 27, so
Yeah, it gets. I can see why you. That's a good point. You know, a lot of these guys, they're rudimentary. You know, they're not about participating in public social life. So I can see why, they.
yeah, and
You know,
like they're cool guys. They loved going to the meetings, but like I don't think, I mean, some of them necessarily even own smartphones,
exactly.
so that's kind of a tough one. But that being said, I think Rossi's done a really good job trying to keep it alive. Rossi's president right now this year. The 415 King, shouts out to him. He's on Instagram.
Shout
He's
out.
quite the personality. If you want to follow somebody that is entertaining, then
No,
he's
I
he's
follow
on
you
there.
on Instagram. You put a bunch of cool stuff on there. I mean, I'm curious to know what everyone is doing up there in terms of bike
Yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but I
Oh,
feel it.
I was talking to your viewers, but yeah,
Oh yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah. Hopefully we get Rossi on here one of these days. I spoke to him recently. He was down here for the some race in
Thanksgiving.
Echo Park. Yeah, Cranksgiving.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah.
we were chatting a little bit
The
about that.
LABMA threw that on, huh?
Yeah. So we did a lot of those. A lot of SF guys were down here. We saw Rossi. We saw a few other guys. It was cool. That's about the last thing we did in terms of like cycling events. Even down here, COVID has been kind of, it's been a thing everywhere. It's kind
Yeah.
of.
I mean, we get a lot of flack on the Messenger meme pages. I don't know if you follow any of those, but like, there's definitely like New York and SF are the two cities that get a lot of shit for like not necessarily adhering to COVID rules. And I could understand why that would look like that based on what people see on Instagram. And like, I will not deny it. There's definitely been some times where I'm like, yo, this is kind of sketchy throwing a race in the middle of this. But for the most part, any of the events that I'd been to was kind of over the summer when I saw a lot of people out and about. We were definitely not the only ones, which isn't necessarily a valid excuse, but like I feel like specifically within this messenger community, it's very tight knit. Like we really only hang out with each other, and that's in the bike scene as well.
Yeah,
So it's like,
absolutely.
I mean, they definitely were trying to enforce masks and gloves and all that stuff, but it's really like, I feel like it for some of the people, like the core messengers, they're a family, like they see each other every single day. Those are the people that you hang out with. Those are the people who go over to each other's houses. Half of them live together, so it's like, is it kind of dangerous? Yeah, and like we are kind of exposed because we go around from place to place and interact with a lot of people, but at the same time we're outdoors all days, open ventilated. We'll contactless delivery has become a thing, and shit, like the original goal of most bike messengers was to get in and out, drop whatever you got to do. It's not about the package, it's about delivering the package. So
Yeah. And you're still working as 100%. Like, are you still doing courier work and stuff like this?
not 100%, no. I kind of shifted from that because I was doing school. So I kind of went over to Mike's Bikes, which is a bike shop. I went corporate. I sold out.
But so you're doing bike mechanic work,
I'm doing sales work. I'll do mechanic work like occasionally just to help out.
or
But
bike shop work in general. Bike shop
they
work.
didn't have any mechanics positions available. So I
That's
was just like,
rad.
I'll take what I can get.
No,
And yeah, I mean, right now I'm kind of getting on the slow days. I'm getting paid to do my S-Tech certification, which is like my Shimano technical certification.
yeah, get that. I got it. Get to be a Trek
Yeah.
ninja. Get your dirt degree. Yeah, dude.
Where's my wrenches at? And my defense wrench.
I'm glad to know that nothing is like too that things haven't changed dramatically. I have seen, like, I know maybe if you've watched the Los Angeles news, local news recently, there's been a lot of different types of crises that have occurred since COVID. You
Yeah,
can say, like, for
absolutely.
example, like murder is up like 70%.
No kidding.
Yeah. Governor Newsom put on and Mayor Garcetti in LA put on some different strategic like moratoriums, so homeless people aren't allowed to really be moved or reallocated. So there's like a terrible homeless problem right now in
Yeah.
LA. It's like all the streets are getting flooded. Like it's ridiculous. There's fires that are, just like from territory disputes between different homeless people. They're lighting each other's shit on fire and stuff.
Jesus.
It's ridiculous, bro. Venice Beach, beautiful city. Tourists go there, hang out. It's always been a little grungy, but man,
Now
like
it's like,
now it's like tent city. You know what I mean? It's as if Skid Row has grown and advanced and moved throughout the whole LA area as
I
opposed
mean,
to
I
where
feel like
it's localization,
we're gonna see more of that too because like we're one of the only countries that have had very, very little help from the government. You know, like they gave us what, like extended unemployment and a couple of stimulus checks. Like
At that, bro, at
people's
that.
people's rent's not being taken care of. There's gonna be like families. I mean, for me, I think it's really brought home how close to being homeless so much of America is. Like
Everyone's on the brink. You know what I
like
mean?
everyone's fucking teetering right now, and the people in charge don't give a shit.
Yo, it's crazy, and the corruption that has like spread throughout California is incredible, bro. All the way from the bottom, all the way to the top. Have you seen in San Francisco? Nancy Pelosi's house was like
Yeah,
vandalized.
They put pig's blood and they chopped the head off, and they said we want the money now. And I
That
was
was
like,
hilarious,
yeah,
bro.
fuck yes, that's sick.
And this has become like I feel like there's a lot of bipartisan, or problems are getting so bad that they're no longer polarized. It's no longer like
Yeah.
a Democrat or Republican thing. Now it's a hey, we're getting fucked kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it
Well,
doesn't matter who you
which
are.
was the problem all along.
Yeah. So now, like you wanted to bring up another subject that I find really interesting as well, which goes hand in hand with all this corruption, is that now that we can clearly see that it doesn't really matter, all poor people are treated the same, whether you're a Trump supporter or a Democrat Biden supporter. It doesn't matter. All poor people are treated the same. Just look at the stock market incident with GameStop and all of that stuff that's
And
been
I've been
happening.
following this very closely.
It,
Well,
it
not
says a lot.
very closely, but pretty darn closely. I mean, I mean, if you haven't heard about this, you've been kind of living under a rock. And what's crazy to me is the fact that I've kind of been. I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened, but like something will go on that the story breaks on the internet in specific communities, right? And so if you're not involved in that community, or if you're not on like social media apps, or if you're kind of following a lot of I don't want to say mainstream stuff, but like if you're not following, if you're just following meme pages, you're not going to see it. But and then the story breaks and the media catches up and it becomes this big whole thing, and then it's crazy to see how it's reported one way versus like how it was experienced. So in order to like summarize and not be rambling, basically what happened was there's this Reddit page that's been run by a bunch of like quote unquote finance bros. Since 2012 it's been active, but it's been gaining quite a bit of steam, and basically they were just gaming the stock market. And this wasn't some unorganized group of trolls. It wasn't a bunch of unemployed people in their mom's basement. This is just smart people that are getting together and saying, like, I don't want to have to go play the Wall Street game. I don't want to have to go and find some hedge fund somewhere and talk to some broker and have to, do all that. Like, I know I'm going to do my homework and read, on investment strategy and do all this stuff. And I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to post about it.
Technology has a lot to do with that, right? Like if you look at,
absolutely, 100%.
Usually people didn't have access to even, most of the stock market just because of the entry, which first you'd have to have money to invest, and then second,
Right.
You'd have to be informed, and you'd have to go through brokers, and there was like a whole like monopoly. But now with apps like Robinhood, you can just download an app on your phone.
That was the big barrier to entry, was a brokerage terminal, right? And so if you had you had to have like know the exact barrier to entry or the requisites for it, but basically, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about how even the average person can't necessarily just decide, oh, I want to buy this stock. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
you
you
have to
you
either be in New York on Wall Street and like walk up to a terminal and physically enter your order, which I can't do. I'm in San Francisco, or you have to go into a brokerage fund and then like pay a middleman, and so it's like there's all of these little things that are designed to keep your money away from you and into the pockets of the people that want to do that sort of thing.
yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
that's the same thing that happened with Robinhood. They make a certain percentage of every trade, but so the story goes, a group of people got together and noticed that a hedge fund was shorting a stock, and so that was basically that they borrowed a bunch of stocks and then sold them all, and then they were going to have to buy those stocks at whatever price they ended up at.
Which was going to be lower because their prediction, they're betting on that GameStop was going under, and
Yeah, they were
so
saying, okay, like this is a dying industry, retail's dying, yada yada, and we're selling all these stocks. And when the price in the stock falls, or when people see that someone's selling, a lot of the buyers will say, a lot of people that hold those stocks will say, oh, okay, people are selling, it's time for me to sell, because it just starts like a chain reaction kind of avalanche thing.
right, right.
So the Wall Street Bets people kind of noticed that. Well, not only did they short it, they really fucking shorted it. They were trying to squeeze it down to from like I think it was like at $12, $14 down to like $2, $3, and they were trying to make a lot of money betting on this.
Yeah, and
And
sometimes the little man will notice something like that, and
these aren't just the little men, I mean, like part of it is Reddit is kind of a place where a lot of people get together. There's a bunch of different cool communities. It's kind of gotten blown out in some places,
I don't
like
mean little men like little people.
oh
I mean like
no, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying, but I
everyone.
was just saying
Yeah, everyone
like
but hedge funds basically.
right, exactly. Sometimes the little man does notice, but what I'm trying to say is that these are not just like your average like internet trolls. Like this is like people that are have a strategy, have a plan, and like they would get together and they would start strategizing and would start thinking about the stock market. They're smart people. But then what happened was the Wall Street Bets page took notice of this, and then they started posting on this, and they said, fuck this, fuck you, Melvin Capital, which was the hedge fund that was shorting, and we're gonna take our stimulus checks and we're gonna take whatever we've got and we're just gonna fucking fling it into GME or GameStop. And so they drove the price up from whatever it was, it's like $2, $3 or $12 to like $320 at its peak, and that was in like a day or 2 days.
Yeah, it was
And man,
ridiculous.
it was insane. It just shot up, and like people were pissed. Those hedge funds were fucking furious. They were going all over, posting about like they would go on like Jim Cramer, like the Moneyball. They were like on C-SPAN, MSNBC, all that sort of places, just kind of like saying that these are trolls and this is a dangerous game and they're playing with the economy. Like they were complaining about all of the things that they themselves do. And so the Wall Street Bets page was like, okay, fuck you guys even harder. We love fucking with you. We're not going to sell shit. We're going to buy more. And then Elon Musk got involved. And I got a little side note on that. Elon Musk is an opportunist. He saw this happening and he was like, LOL, buy GME and buy Dogecoin, which we'll get to that later. That's a whole other topic. That's blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, cryptocurrency.
But and then Elon Musk and another, I forget his name, but he was owner of a venture capital company. He posted, he posted in support of Wall Street Bets, and so the traffic that got driven to Wall Street Bets Reddit page, like closed down the rest of Reddit. Like they shut down the Reddit servers, and this is not a small website. This is something that's used to, traffic of multi-millions of users a day, but like so many people got wind of this and were like trying to figure it out, and there was trolls and people were saying that there were Wall Street bots taking over and infiltrating the page. And
Yeah, I heard like the amount of like rumor things people makes like, first of all, it's okay for people to speculate on what's happening, um, and they get away with it, but it's really strange when you see the news doing exactly that, and for it's kind of obvious. Like for example, like as soon as we saw that Wall Street Bets, these guys on Reddit started bringing up the price, right? These hedge funds, they go to borrow money, right? They're like, oh shit, we gotta get out of this hole, and they can't get out of the hole. The hole's getting deeper, right?
Very deep.
Yeah, so now
So deep.
the hole's getting deeper, and people on Reddit are really like, yes, we're winning the fight. Let's keep going.
Well, the hole's getting deeper because the price is worth more. So the hedge fund is going
Exactly,
to have to
yeah.
buy all of those
That's-
shares that they predicted were going to be like stupid cheap, and that equals them losing a lot of money.
The
More
hole
money than they
the
have
hole gets
access
deeper
to.
for them.
Like
And let's not forget
billions.
that they're shorting the stock, that and they're capitalizing on a company going under. It's like making money from a dead corpse essentially. They're like really
Yes.
like, like so
And they're
that's
trying to drive it into the ground just to make money off of it.
yeah,
They don't-
exactly.
And so a lot of people kind of hem and haw about, like the stock market being an actual indication of like the economic viability of whatever company's property, and that's bullshit. It's a fucking casino. It's a slot machine.
Yeah, it's all it is bets. But so so all right, so these hedge fund guys, they're betting that this company is going to go under. They do this. They have been doing this for years. You know what I mean? They do it
Years.
to everybody. So finally, here comes some guys, and they do the opposite. They, instead of shorting
say,
a
"Fuck
stock, they raise the stock, right? And
It's called a short squeeze,
there's
and that's not an uncommon thing. That's been done to hedge funds by other hedge funds before.
right. Yeah.
But-
So where do these people run when they have a problem? First of all, everyone who is in Wall Street is against regulations. They don't want government regulations because it's
No.
going to make them lose money. Essentially, their hustles are going to be,
Yeah.
less of a hustle but with more regulations. But all of a sudden, these same guys that never want regulation, all of a sudden they're on CNN like, please, we have to do something. We got to regulate these markets. Like they're calling for regulation
this is
on live
market
television.
manipulation. This is illegal,
But it's
and
not.
yada,
It's,
and they're getting together to fuck with us, and that's not okay. When what's crazy is when the markets crashed in 2008, Wall Street got bailouts.
yeah, they definitely did. And then now,
They got handouts, and now that it's like we're trying to squeeze them, or the markets crashed for us, what happens when the American people lose everything that's been invested in the market? Nothing.
yeah, we it's like
we get nothing.
I think of it this way, which is the same for me playing the credit game, the social credit point game. It's like playing at the casino. The house always wins. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The odds are
Yes.
against you. And when what happens if you go to a casino and you play and you win a little too often? They say you're
They'll fucking
cheating.
throw you out.
They'll throw
Yeah.
you out. Yeah, so you're not allowed to win. Even if you do win, you're not allowed to win. You know what I mean? You're only there to lose. So if you go to Wall Street and you play their game, right, with their rules that they put in place, and you win, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got to change the rules.
Change the rules because you can't win.
Yeah, hey, this is not supposed to
I
happen.
can't let
man.
you win.
Hey, government, please help me. These guys
Well,
are.
that's the Who is the house, right? Like, who's the casino in this metaphor? And I mean, the fucking Wall Street bankers are playing games with our money.
Well, it's no coincidence to me that the mainstream media was quick to demonize the Wall Street Reddit guys, make them look like weird neo-Nazi Trump supporter, weird dudes in the basement that jerk off kind of guys, and then at the same time make it look so they vilify the everyday guy that was, engaged in this behavior, and then they are going to victimize the hedge fund guys. I thought, since when does CNN suck up to
poor
Wall Street?
billionaires.
Poor billionaires.
Poor billionaires.
And to me, it's
Only one vacation home. They got to sell the yacht. What are they gonna do?
and it's kind of obvious that that's they're calling in favors. Media is probably
No kidding. Well,
yeah,
they
yeah,
probably fucking own the media. I
yeah.
mean, Rupert Murdoch has a fucking media empire. He's a billionaire from Australia, and he's
Exactly.
he's the one that fucking bought Fox News, bought um, what was it? Fucking there's like a right wing media in Britain. And he's the one who's been pushing all of this and is probably largely responsible for the rise and resurgence in like right wing extremism because he makes money off of it and it pushes his own agenda. So it's fucking hilarious to me that the media who, has created this problem is now saying that we, are the problem. That's another note. But
And let's talk about all right, so we can see the old dinosaur conglomerates like the like
well,
Wall
here's
Street.
here's the one point that I want to fucking hammer home because this is crazy. So what happened? Now GameStop is not valued at what it's worth. Let me just quickly just see what it's worth right now. GameStop is worth $60. It's down 5%. That is from when the markets opened. It was worth 75 this morning. Over 5 days, it's on a downward trend. Its last peak was at like 114 on the 2nd. So today's the 8th.
Yeah, that's dramatically
What happened?
low.
How did that happen? So Friday comes along. Friday's the day. All this stuff went down on a Wednesday. Like Thursday or Friday comes along, and Friday's the day that all of the hedge funds are going to have to buy back the stocks. Well, there's a finite amount of stocks. There's only so many that you can buy, right? And if the Wall Street Bets guys aren't selling theirs, then the hedge funds are going to have to pay. Like if people aren't selling the stocks, then there's no reason that the stock should be going down. There's a supply and demand thing, and the demand for the stocks is so high that they're valued at, $375. So Citadel is another hedge fund that bails out Melvin Capital, and they buy them out and start to help them out. Citadel also runs a controlling interest in Robinhood, which is the app that allowed all of this in the first place. So Robinhood takes away the buy option for GameStop, which is illegal. That is market manipulation. You should not be allowed to do that. Only technically, I think the Fed chair or I forget who, but it's supposed to be a financial governing body that is able to do that, not an independent citizen or an independent corporation. So what that does is that means that you can no longer buy GameStop stock through Robinhood. You can only sell. And so all of these people who are, rightfully desperate and hungry and, probably got bills to fucking pay, decide that they want to try and sell to make a profit off of this. Like some people like literally could have made millions off of maybe like a couple $1,000s that they invested in GameStop.
Right. They're gonna sell when it's high, right?
But the downside to that is that it drives the price down for everybody else. So Melvin Capital doesn't lose as much money. So it becomes this dichotomy of, do I as a person who's in a period of, mass insecurity, financial insecurity, I, the average Joe, want to keep the money that I've kind of, made? Do I want to cash my chips in? So you can continue to use that casino metaphor. Or am I going to hold this stock and really squeeze these fuckers? Like, do I want to make them pay or do I want to make a lot of money? And some people have decided, we've got hands made of diamonds and we're going to fucking hold. Someday we'll get enough money to buy chicken tendies, which is, Wall Street Bet slang. But not today. Like, I'll forgo the tendies to see the look of anger on these Wall Street Bets guys' face. So Robinhood did that, and the price has been kind of slowly declining because the people, the powers that be, that works behind the scenes have just been trying to kind of drive that price down.
Right, and people have been probably selling some. I mean, if you have a need, you have a need.
People panicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
panicked.
people
and then were like, like we've lost a lot, and so the Reddit's kind of in disarray. I mean, there's a thing when you're winning, when we're all winning together. There's this movement. It feels good. You want to jump on. You want to be a part of that. But when you're losing, when you're down, when you realize that maybe you sank, some of your savings that you shouldn't have in this, and maybe it isn't necessarily worth it to you to make all these hedge funds, then that's what they want. They want you to. They don't want you to be able to play this game, because for them the consequences aren't real. They've got insurance against these things, they've got savings, they've got so much more assets than us that they're never going to have to worry about where their next meal is going to come from. And
the way I see it, though, it's not so much that these things are starting to occur more and more frequently than usual, but it isn't because we have more access to more resources that allow us to compete in markets that we weren't able to compete before.
Exactly.
But it's also because the game is changing. What I call these like dinosaur media, dinosaur entities that have been around for a really long time, have been doing the same thing for a really long time. They haven't really adjusted their rules to the new playing field. You know what I mean? The playing field is changing. Just take a look at everything that's being hit. Like, first of all, these monopolies, these social media monopolies like Facebook and Twitter. There's Parler, and what did they do? Shut Parler down.
Parler they shut down for two reasons. Parler, they were literally looking for the excuse after the whole insurrection thing to clamp down, but Parler was hosted on an Amazon Web Service thing. Parler was never a legitimate, crazy, powerful social media website.
Yeah, right. But so let's talk about what. So Amazon has, besides just Jeff Bezos, Amazon Prime and selling goods, there's another half to it that Jeff Bezos wasn't the CEO of, which is their cloud services, which they provide to all websites, right? So now
that was Amazon's moneymaker. That wasn't even just another part of it or a half of it, or even this is the section over here. The Amazon Web Services makes up, I think, a majority of the revenue that Amazon generates.
That's where the power is, and
that's where the money's in.
So they have these huge servers, and they're basically, they monopolized the data that comes through the internet, and they said, hey, instead of having a lot of individual people with individual servers and in their own websites that have full authority over everything that they post, we can create dependencies of people who borrow our services from us, which will then cause for us to have manipulation control over these people. So now think of it this way, if you go post a video on YouTube can copyright strike you. If you go write something on Twitter can delete you. And now if you go and create your own website and you use servers that aren't yours, guess what? Amazon's going to take your servers down. They're going to take your website down. So now the only resort you have to being an independent creator of any kind is to literally have the resources to start a server farm that can host lots of internet traffic where you can upload your own content. That's really the only way you can avoid takedowns. And it doesn't even stop there. It goes beyond that. Now we're talking internet services. Now we're talking, you can get a letter in the mail from Spectrum or from Xfinity or from Time Warner that's going to say, hey, actually, you can't have this much bandwidth wherever you're located, and you need these special permits, and it's really impossible. You know what I mean?
I gotta take 5 minutes to switch my laundry, but do I have some shit to say about that?
No worries. Go ahead. I'll pull up some links for all the other viewers. My man's gonna go do some laundry now. But let's pull up. I have so many links related to the subject, but we can't pull them up on the Skype view. But here, we can pull up some of them that we were talking about. Let's see. Let's start with Wall Street Bets. And Parler and Robinhood, which are the two main apps that were taken down recently. Which hasn't come back, by the way. I've tried to log into Parler several times. They said it might have been down for like a week at most. Still dead. Doesn't function. Let's read their. Let's see. This is Google's take on Parler. Parler is an American alt-tech microblogging and social networking service. It has significant user base of Donald Trump supporters, conservatives, conspiracy theorists, and right-wing extremists. Posts on the service often contain far-right content, anti-Semitism, and conspiracy theories such as QAnon. Yo, that is wild. This is straight off of Wikipedia. Of course, it's gonna come out right on top. So I mean, man, they were booted from all of the major services. It's kind of ridiculous. This is why even I'm looking for alternatives. Y'all could go add me on Space Hay if you guys don't have Space Hay yet. Check. Put your mic on, boy. Yo. I see you in my phone, Aaron, but I don't see you in my Skype on the screen. Did you end the call or something? Looks like your camera's pointed at like the wall or something. Try again, yeah.
Wait for it. Wait.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Good now. Yep. Perfect.
All right. Tight. Sick. Have you heard of Mastodon?
Mastodon, no.
I've heard of Mastodon as being a good alternative for social media. Okay, where were we? We were on.
Yeah, social media. I was pulling up. Have you heard of?
Oh, tech companies having the dominance and everything.
Yeah. So I was looking. Check this out. I was looking at Parler's. Like this is
So here's the crazy shit about Parler. Is Parler had like some of the worst user data encryption ever. There was a hacker that managed to download like a lot of information, like terabytes worth of information, like all the archive posts, yada yada, before Parler got shut down. And that hacker released it. Basically, the situation was they got a bunch of posts and data and information and organizing related to the Capitol riots. So that hacker was kind of trolling through there, trying to find that information, hand it into the feds, and get people arrested, basically.
That's hilarious. I wanted to read you Parler. The Google search says Parler is an American alt-tech microblogging and social networking service. It has a significant user base consisting of Donald Trump supporters, conservatives, conspiracy theorists, right-wing extremists. Posts on the surface often contain far-right content, anti-Semitism, and conspiracy theories such as QAnon. It's hilarious, to be honest.
Speaking of anti-Semitism, did you hear about the congresswoman who believes in the Jewish space lasers?
What's her name?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
To be honest, like I think they're like she is kind of irrelevant in the world of people that have power in politics. I think they're just kind of
so yes and no.
They're drilling in that nail. They're really hammering it. I think it's because mostly they want people to hyper focus on that. You saw freaking AOC came on. First she was crying about the Capitol riots, literally crying like with tears, and then she went and made up a crazy story that she was in the Capitol and that supposedly she was there when the raid happened and she was scared for her life and she heard noises and she ran down a hall. Like she made up this crazy story. Now they're calling her AOC Smollier or Smollett or whatever. So there's a lot of like iffy, weird like capitalization on the attack on the
the
Capitol attack.
Jesse Smollett thing.
Yeah. So basically, I feel like a lot of this is coming down to it's just being politicized. You know, like something happens, a bunch of bozos run into the Capitol. Obviously,
Well, I
know,
think what we're seeing is definitely a shakeup of the status quo, and I think that the powers that be don't like that. When things get shook up like that, people get nervous. Like there are a lot of people that stand to gain a lot of money from A, the pandemic, and B, systems of power and control maintaining and staying that the way that they are.
yeah, that's what I meant when I was saying that I don't think that it's necessarily like. I think it's just the fact that the game board is changing and the rules haven't been adjusted yet. For example, the Wall Street Bets thing and Robinhood, and them somebody actually getting got for once, and then now social media giants like Facebook and Twitter, and now the option for alternatives like Parler, even if they're getting taken down, the fact that they're being made and then getting taken down, it shows that people are trying to get through the back door.
Well, 20 years ago, Facebook and all this stuff didn't exist. I didn't grow up. Like I grew up hearing about MySpace and AOL, and then I got a Facebook when I turned 11. But
yeah, but
social
think
media
about it this way. Like, remember when MySpace hit? I was around for a little while. It was the newest, biggest, coolest thing.
Right.
And then the next thing came out, Facebook, right? And everyone hopped onto Facebook. Facebook was cool. And then Facebook kind of started getting boring. So then Instagram came out, right? And
then Instagram got bought out by
Facebook. So this is where the problem started. They started conglomerating. They started creating these like huge entities, monopolization. They started buying everyone out. So now something like Instagram comes out, right? Instagram gets boring after a little while. Because Facebook owns it, they made it boring. So kids move on to Snapchat, right?
Well, they didn't just make it boring. I mean,
they ruined it with advertisements and other bullshit. Yes. So now the kids move on to Snapchat. Snapchat's around now. Everyone loves Snapchat. So what does Instagram do? Hey, Snapchat, can we buy you out? And they're like, nah. No, we're gonna be the guy, like you said. We're gonna hold on to our diamonds, and we're not gonna let you buy us out. So what did Instagram do? What did Facebook
Rip
do?
Off Snapchat.
They're like, well, fuck you. Then we're going to create Instagram stories, right? And they were like, oh, shit. But turns out that was a bad idea because Snapchat's still around. And next thing, kids are bored with Snapchat. They move on to TikTok. Okay, TikTok's around. The conglomerates don't like it. So, we're going to ban it because it's a Chinese company. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, because it's Chinese spyware, right?
Supposedly, but now what pops out coincidentally right after the allegation that TikTok is a Chinese company full of spyware. What does Instagram do next? Oh, Instagram Reels. You know what I mean? Oh, if we couldn't buy out TikTok or get rid of them, fuck it, we'll just create our own.
I am on TikTok, and it's a interesting thing because I feel like even in like the year that I've been on it, it's changed quite a bit. Like the style of videos, the things that become popular, and I feel like the algorithms are really the game changer for TikTok because, and I think this is the genius of the app. Anybody can be on there. Literally, I have seen content that is specifically tailored to people that are interested in mid-century American architecture from the 1700s.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of weird. To be honest, I'm not on TikTok and I don't use it. Because I haven't had the chance to really explore it yet. But I do see that a lot of people are on there. They make a lot of, interesting viral videos and stuff. And even I've seen microbiologists go on there and make certain, shots of certain things. And like it's just full of a lot of
marine biologists that have like tank setups in their house are posting shit and getting popular. Like it is the opposite of Instagram in that I feel like Instagram is a very glamorized, fetishized, like highly stylized.
Well, it became that after Facebook gained ownership, took over the algorithm. I
feel like even at the beginning, with the filters and all of that sort of thing, it was presenting a version of yourself. And it went from being like posting pretty photos to like, Oh my God, check out my ass and this product right next
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, it used to be, I think it used to be like a tool for people that were creating things, and it was like a marketing tool almost, right? You could create a page for your thing and try and sell your
Hmm.
thing or get known for your thing, right? But then out of nowhere it just became just a huge advertisement. Like everyone's Instagram is a huge ad for themselves. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And it's just really strange. The model has shifted. So this
Have you
is.
heard of
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. Have you heard of Web 3.0?
No, no, I haven't.
So, I mean, I've heard a little bit of chatter about it, and part of me is a little hesitant. Part of me is like, oh, this is a marketing strategy for some people that want to try and make more money than Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat. And part of me is like, no, this has potential. So I'm a huge nerd. I'm very interested in like the internet culture of the late 80s, early 90s, and I am interested in it because it was a frontier, because it was very uncharted territory. The majority of people didn't necessarily have access to it or know how to use it. So it was up to the people that were very interested in it and passionate about it to kind of create the communities and the spaces they wanted. So
What is it exactly?
um, so Web 3.0 is the proposed like next step. Web 2.0 was coined in like around 1999 to 2004. It was the idea that the world had moved on from kind of static, very unmoving desktop pages designed for information consumption, and it moved to user generated content. Yeah, you can kind of see. Uh, Basically, it's like the idea is that if you can remember what a web page looked like in the early 2000s and what it looks like today, that was the difference between Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. So what I was talking about
So what's Web
with
3.0?
Web 3.0 is the idea that instead of having a very centralized or like here's Facebook and everything branches out from there. There's Instagram over here. There's whatever the fuck else they own over here. All of that sort of stuff, and it kind of branches on and on. It's decentralized. The idea is that
So,
it's like
this
you've
is
got
exactly.
user generated content.
I didn't know there was a name for Web 3.0, but
This is what you were talking
this is exactly
about.
what I was talking about. Decentralization. For example, for video, back in the day, we used to have LimeWire, right? I actually have LimeWire here on my desktop.
Do you
It's
really?
yeah, you can still use it if you figure out how.
No
But
fucking
I've got it
shit.
here on my desktop. But so back in the day, we had LimeWire, which was like a P2P. They allowed people to share
Peer to
files
peer.
between
Yeah.
between their computers. Well, okay, and after that, we obviously that's not usable anymore for legal reasons. But then
Legally, they changed the rules on
here
us.
came out crypto, right? So now we have
Right.
cryptocurrency. But the awesome thing about cryptocurrency is that the model has been applied to many different things, like the blockchain model. For example, cryptocurrency was applied then to other things, like, for example, communication, like Discord and Proton Mail, and all of these other types of communication that
Well,
are way chill.
Proton Mail has been around since before cryptocurrency,
Right,
or
and
probably
and
since the beginning.
Onion browser. What I mean is, like, so now I've recently reallocated all my YouTube videos. Now they're all being uploaded to. Have you heard of Library or Odyssey?
Oh
No?
yeah, I've heard of Odyssey, but only because you use it.
Yeah. So on Library is pretty awesome. It's essentially peer to peer, but for video content. So now you can essentially download or upload your videos to everybody's computers, and it lives everywhere, and you can be paid in cryptocurrency. So, and I actually created an account with Bitrex, which is a cryptocurrency conversion tool, so that I can earn cryptocurrency on Odyssey. It's actually really
For
awesome.
views
Uh,
or advertising revenue?
Yeah, and for using the web page itself, so I'll pull it up right now. You can see and it's honestly pretty awesome. It's like YouTube. Everything I upload to YouTube automatically transfers to Odyssey, but it's peer to peer. So it works like LimeWire, and it has blockchain built into it. So there's a thing called a wallet says here your wallet, right?
Mhm.
So I can click on my wallet and I can show you kind of what it looks like. So right now I've earned these many, cryptocurrency coins or whatever you want to call them.
Which cryptocurrency is it? Do you know?
So this uses its own cryptocurrency
Ah,
called,
yes.
yeah, and so then that you can convert to Bitcoin. So this one's called LBC, which
Mhm.
is library coins, and then you can convert those to whatever you want.
Man. So, okay. So, like I said, I'm kind of a nerd, and I was in maybe 2010, 2011, really interested in cryptocurrency. This is before a lot of people had kind of figured out about Bitcoin. It was worth maybe about $1 a coin, and I was fucking stoked on it. I found out about it because I got really into the deep web or the dark web at the time, and I was looking at pages and people were talking about using Bitcoin to buy, drugs and illegal things, and I was fucking, oh god, 12, 13. I didn't have any use for that, and I could get weed from my friends, so I just didn't care. um, but what I did care about was the idea of Bitcoin, and I had read enough science fiction to know that a currency that could exist outside of the existing financial structures was a fucking game changer. You cannot trace it. You cannot see, follow the money trail. You can't do any of that shit. If I hand you the Bitcoin, or if I send it to you through an exchange program, maybe you could trace it. But if you scramble it enough, it's just numbers. It's just a fuck ton of numbers.
Yeah, it's outside of the
Uh,
realm of what the government. The government can't put their little greedy hands on it, and
it
when
can't be regulated. It can't be taxed. It can't be any of those things. So it's like the perfect, like if I had family in Mexico, for example, and I wanted to send them cash, like I had a teacher who was sending his family money to Mexico, and he had to wire it through Western Union and pay a certain exchange fee. And I was like, Nestor, buy Bitcoin, send it, they'll exchange it back into pesos. You lose nothing. Like, because you don't lose anything in the exchange rate. Well, okay. Anyway, so back in the day, I had maybe about $100 worth of Bitcoin, which was about 100 Bitcoin. And if I still had that today, I would be a millionaire.
no,
No,
you'd
I
be
haven't done the
beyond
last
that. I
math.
think. Yeah, I think you'd be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I could have been a billionaire, everybody, but I gave it up because I gave away a bunch of different Bitcoins to my friends. And I was mining on my fucking laptop. Like I mined a whole Bitcoin on an underpowered Lenovo in 2010. And that was like the craziest thing to me. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there is an algorithm that is used to generate, well, not generate, to do the math to find out the number string that goes into a Bitcoin. It's a lot of complex things, and it's used by multiplying and dividing things a bunch of different times in a bunch of different ways that are supposedly impossible to duplicate. They did the math right. It was done by some very, very smart people. I am vastly oversimplifying it, but long story short, there is a finite, limited amount of Bitcoin that can be mined, right? And the more that you mine, the more that you generate, the harder it becomes to generate or mine another one. So the idea of you being like printing money, I mean, yeah, technically you kind of are, but it's like if you think about it, there's already only going to ever be so many Bitcoins in existence. There's already only ever going to be so much gold, silver, whatever in existence. You can only extract so much. So the thing about Dogecoin that I mentioned earlier
Which is
about how
a
Elon Musk was like, which is a cryptocurrency that Elon Musk recommended, and that kind of somehow got folded into the whole Wall Street bets fold.
because it's a based on a fucking meme. That's why, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well, kind of. Elon um, basically said everybody go in that, drove the price up a little bit, um, and then drove the price up on something that is not finite. So Dogecoin can be there's already like a certain number of it generated every day, like, and it always will be because of the way that the algorithm's written, which means that the currency is going to be devaluing itself constantly. Like it's not going to retain its value. Bitcoin at a certain point, there will be no more that we can ever possibly fucking extract, or it'll be so hard to generate a Bitcoin with the computer processing thing that it'll be basically like we can't print it anymore. Anyway, that's not the point. Point is, he went on and bought like, what was it, $20 million worth of Bitcoin, not Dogecoin, Bitcoin.
Who, Elon Musk?
Because Elon Musk did, because he's an opportunist. He saw that he could drive all these people into Doge and then buy up Bitcoin while it was kind of relatively low or whatever. A lot of people are kind of seeing the writing on the wall now with cryptocurrency, and like, you know, it's been going up, and a lot of people said it was a bubble. Like, I remember in 2016 when it first kind of started spiking, everyone's like, oh, it's a bubble. And then I was like, no, I told you so. So the problem that I realized with Bitcoin when I was, you know, back in 2012 was that a currency is mostly stable, right? How much is a Coke worth in US dollars?
Like $2 now, I guess, like $1.
How much is a Coke worth in Bitcoin?
You know, it's gonna be 0.00 some shit.
Yeah, you don't know, because it's not a currency; it's a speculative thing.
Yeah, but you know, from what I know, like I looked into Bitcoin, like the birth of Bitcoin, and essentially, well, one, the dude who invented Bitcoin went to jail, and
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah, and then came out of jail, and now, like, basically, the government didn't want a private organization to have been the creator of a cryptocurrency. The government wanted to create its own cryptocurrency so they can have, obviously, backdoors and manipulation to the currency, right? So, but that didn't happen. So they tried to send the dude away, but it didn't really work. The goal of Bitcoin, I think, was for it to become a stable currency that you could actually use for everyday stuff, right? Like, it wasn't like it wasn't supposed to be like a hedge, like a investment like type of, you know,
stock.
It's not supposed to be like a stock.
It's being brought into the stock market right now as an ETF or an electronically traded fund, or at least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be the case. It should be.
Should not be the case.
It should be where I can walk up to the grocery store with my phone and use a cryptocurrency app to pay for goods. And it should be where people have accepted cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, as a payment for goods and services. You know what I mean?
So I just did the math. If I still had all the Bitcoin that I bought, I would have $4.8 million, which is a long shot from a billionaire, but that would be really fucking nice to have. I would buy you a car if I had that much money.
Don't buy me a car. Buy me a plot of land or something.
Yeah, I'll buy you a house.
Don't buy me a house. Buy me a plot of land.
Let me find my Bitcoin wallet.
Oh man, this is how all this stuff starts. You know, like, I'm part of this Odyssey thing, and I've got like $10 worth that I've accrued. So I'm not putting money in it. I'm just waiting to see how much money I can, you know, generate on there. But I mean, $10 now might be like, what if that thing blows up? You know what I mean? I'm gonna end up like you. Like, I'm not trying to sell those. I'm gonna just leave them there, leave them in my wallet.
Diamond hands,
you know
baby.
What I mean?
Diamond hands. So so that was the thing, is that
what am I gonna do with $10? You know?
Yeah, Bitcoin got turned into that. Bitcoin, that was the big push, and everyone said it was a bubble. You know, it was going to crash. They were investing in it. They were not using it as a currency.
Yeah, I think of it this way. Like, this is my perfect analogy for Bitcoin, and I think you're gonna like it. Think of it this way. Imagine that you're driving on the road, right? Mm-hmm. And imagine if the main highway has a lot of traffic, right? So now you're like, fuck, we need a shortcut. So you go on Google Maps and you're like, fuck, let's get to the shortcut, right? So you do a little, you know, a different route. And guess what? Mm-hmm. Another 150 people thought of the same fucking shortcut. Now everyone's taking the shortcut. You know what I mean? Now the highway is open. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing, is that, like,
people are buying out. People are investing into cryptocurrency. They're like, oh, wow, bro, this thing's gonna blow up. Let's invest now.
Well, it already so we can get rich. It's already blown out. That's the thing, is by the time that you hear it as a household, like, this is gonna be the next big thing, it's already too late.
It's already too late.
Like, you know.
Exactly. So, like, this is what the same thing I'm saying. Like. How is it possible for that to be happening? You know, like, how is it that everyone thinks that they're being authentic and individual, right, with their decision making process, But how is it that they all end up in the same fucking place doing the same thing? Like, humans are very predictable. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we're also yeah, exactly. We're herd animals,
So
man.
instead of people using cryptocurrency how it's intended, which is to buy goods and services, to trade it, you're supposed to have gold. The only purpose of fucking
Backed,
gold
backed
is so
currencies.
that you can trade it. Like if we all had gold coins in our pocket right now,
Hmm.
we would be like,
Well,
yo,
I mean, like that's the thing is it's a social contract, right? That is, we've also determined that gold is worth what that point, and like gold is a very stable thing usually, but like I mean, what is gold really worth? Is it a very tough metal? Can I make a knife out of it? Can I survive with it? When it comes down to that, it's like, what value, what worth are we giving it? Like, um, I think that it's interesting that it's like the whole idea of backed currencies. Well, back in like Burger King let out a promotion where you could get one free Whopper with a coupon. So for briefly there, Burger King had a currency that was backed by something, and the United States dollar did not, because it's no longer backed by gold. It used to be you could go in and you could go to the Federal Reserve and you could hand in a dollar and say, "Hey, I want $1 worth of gold. Give me my gold." And they would give you the gold and you could walk away. But, you know, now like Burger King briefly had a currency that was more stable and powerful than the American dollar.
it's
That's
what's crazy that, like, okay, so the analogy of gold is the same as Bitcoin because it's a limited resource. There's only so much of it. So
right,
why
right.
the fuck do people hoard it? Like it's not it's not
It's a
designed for
perceived
that.
value thing. It's all made up. It's not real.
It's not designed for that. It's designed for trading, Like, but
Yes,
why do people hoard it?
yes.
Why do people think of it as
Well, and
stock?
that's the other thing is that like people lose it. You put it down in like on a Bitcoin wallet on your flash drive, and I'm sure I have a Bitcoin somewhere that I don't know where the fuck it is, and that's $48,000 that's sitting on a flash drive somewhere in my house. But I don't fucking know where it is, and it's not real. Is it actually $48,000 sitting in a suitcase and unmarked, non-sequential bills?
Even if it
No,
was
it's a
unmarked
bunch of fucking
unsequential
numbers.
bills, even if it was unmarked unsequential bills, what does that even mean? It's just fucking paper in a
Right? It's
box.
paper. It's paper in a box.
Like, it's ridiculous. But
And
it,
that's the thing is that's what people have realized. That's the whole crux of this Wall Street Bets issue is that people realize that there's a whole bunch of paper sitting in a massive box in New York City, and that they can, by moving a couple numbers around, they can fuck with it.
you know what else is funny about all of this? That recently, during the coronavirus pandemic, there's been a lot of corruption involved in handling pandemic aid money, like CARES Act and shit like this, right? So one of the things that's really funny to me is before the pandemic, we were at market highs. Unemployment was really low. We were doing really well. And then what happened? Fucking coronavirus, right? So people,
Global
like, shit
pandemic.
gets fucked and things get, pretty bad. So now there's these CARES Act packages that are like trillions of fucking dollars that are just like, oh, $1.2 trillion. We're gonna send this money here. We're gonna send this money there. We're gonna send it to Nicaragua, Honduras. We're gonna send it to blah 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 blah. And then you peasants, y'all get like $600. How's that? It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So one thing that I find funny about this though is that previous to where we started, our total currency in the market was like 4 to 5 trillion, and now it's like a ridiculous, like, about to be $8 trillion. We almost doubled the amount of money that is in circulation in one
Right.
year. So that means that all of the unemployment money that's been handed out, all of the pandemic money that's been handed out, which mostly went to big ass companies and corporations that had nothing to do with the everyday guy, or the businesses that were failing, or the restaurants that couldn't pay rent, has nothing to do with those guys. This money went to like other random shit, like fucking, I don't know, museums and shit like this. It's really ridiculous. So now all this money went to where? Nowhere. And now we've created inflation. Our money, we fucking doubled it. It's no longer 4 to 5 trillion. It's like 8 trillion in circulation. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We devalued our money.
And there's ways to deal. We basically, if you've ever heard somebody make the argument like print more money, like that's what we fucking did. We just printed more money. And like there's ways to combat inflation. There's things that you can do. I don't remember what they are right now, but
Well, nowadays we don't even have to print it. We just put fucking zeros and ones in a computer somewhere.
exactly, and that's the reason why it's okay, because you can kind of remove a certain amount from like circulation, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, but for how
We
long?
can just
You know
kind
what
of
I mean?
if we move some numbers around, and we're gonna all be okay. You know.
For how long before we fucking figure out that
Well, that's
hey,
the thing is that how I mean, like we've had our kind of society got pushed around quite a bit this year. You know, people's limits have been tested, and we saw like I mean, all it took was one pandemic for a bunch of people to have free time and no jobs and finally be able to say fuck you. Like
I like to think of it
we
this way.
don't like this.
I like to say like, all right, people, you know, people got hit by the pandemic, but that's not necessarily true. If you think about it,
Mhm.
regular everyday people suffered, but nobody else
Oh
that
yeah.
suffers,
Oh yeah.
they didn't suffer.
Rich people have had a completely different. Like I'm seeing even some of my friends that I went to like college with. They're fucking going to Tahoe and traveling and flying internationally.
And people that had money,
fucking can.
they doubled up, bro. Like Jeff Bezos
Yeah.
is twice as rich before the pandemic.
And he's already so fucking rich that you could like literally work a normal like high-paying salary job for like 6,000 years, and you would never have as much money
Yo,
as him.
Jeff Bezos recently stepped down as well as CEO of
You know why he
Amazon.
did that? He did that so he can stand there in the back of the fucking boardroom and go like this.
He's got no need anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, no. Here's the thing: is that he doesn't. He's tired of having his image be this big evil billionaire that's hoarding money and treating his workers poorly.
Yeah, that's why Bill Gates
a lot of people
did
have
the same
talked about
thing.
him being interested in like his Hollywood persona. Like I've heard a lot of chatter about this. So don't be surprised if Jeff Bezos gets into movies or gets into kind of, or all of a sudden he starts doing a lot of real nice shit because he cares about his image.
Oh,
And
you
that's
mean
the
all
thing
of a
is-
sudden he's gonna become a philanthropist like Bill Gates?
Yeah, watch.
Oh, so all of a sudden he's
But
gonna
that's the thing is
he's gonna
a
be-
philanthropist on his terms. He donates money to his own company right now that he gets to write off as a tax write-off, but it just goes all into Amazon R&D. So all of the money that he's getting to fucking like write off all that shit and like not pay taxes and not recontribute to the local economy of America that we fucking made him, and it's completely legal, and he gets away with it. But like the thing is, he's stepping down because he doesn't want to have that kind of scrutiny on him. He doesn't
But
want to have
low-key,
people
dude,
talking shit on him.
low key, I'd rather
But he's
have
still gonna have the same amount of control.
I'd rather have a Jeff Bezos who is like a fox, like he's telling you, I'm going to eat you, like I'm hungry. You know what I mean? Like you can recognize the threat. He's Jeff Bezos. He is Amazon. You know what I mean? Versus a Bill Gates, which is like a, like
wolf in sheep's clothing.
yeah, exactly. Like I don't know about that. I don't know. Would I rather have the philanthropist who is pretending to have all good intentions towards the rest of the population versus Jeff Bezos was just like, hey, I'm just capitalizing off of you morons. Like, just keep buying stuff and I'll be happy. Like, I honestly would rather have the Jeff Bezos because he's more identifiable. You know what I mean? Where Bill Gates, on the other hand, like, yeah, he's just into weird stuff. Like, why is he so eugenic? Like, why does he have so much fucking why is he so obsessed with vaccination and why is he obsessed with global population and these things? Like, why is he so weird like this?
I gotta plug my phone in real quick, but
Plug it in, boy. We have some wild people in the chat too. Who the? Yo, I let Bill Gates spit in my mouth. That's wild.
Zaddy Gates, give me that money.
Somebody in the chat said I'd let Bill Gates spit in my mouth.
Yo, you wildin'.
That is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, man. So what were we saying?
Where's the chat? Oh, is it on the screen?
It's on the screen,
I've been
but
trying to read that.
you
It's
can't see
fucking-
it.
I can't.
It's fucking tiny, bro.
It's
There's no-
tiny.
I can see it on my. If you were in my studio, you'd be able to see it on my screen here.
All right.
But we'll get a we'll get a 1-in-1 when you ever come down to LA, so we don't have to do it
For
over
sure.
Skype.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to do that. Yeah, thanks for being our one viewer. I think I can see that.
Yeah, we'll fucking I do want to visit. Obviously not right now because I have a baby, but I do want to
Yeah,
visit the
bro.
Bay Area again and do stuff up there and ride my bike around and stuff. I miss Golden Gate Park. I miss
Dude,
Sutro
it's so nice.
Forest.
I'm trying to
You
build a
know,
mountain bike right now. We gotta go get some trails in.
yeah, man, I love it. The guys out there are really awesome, and everyone who rides bikes is pretty awesome. All the bike shop dudes are pretty awesome. So that doesn't mean that there isn't anything going on down here, but I mean, actually, during the pandemic, I'm sure bike shops did pretty well. Like, people
Boy,
bought a lot
do
of
I know.
bikes, and it got a little out of hand. You know what I mean? It was kind of
Mhm.
crazy. So
Yeah, it's definitely out of hand. Like we don't have anything to sell. Like our racks are fucking empty. We've got our pretty much we only have stuff that's over $1,000 in the shop right now because everything else has been bought.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like, for me at the shop, I kind of moved away from, because in LA there's a lot of big box stores like Mike's Bikes and Performance and all these things, and there's bike shops that sell Specialized and Trek and all these main brands. So I kind of stayed away from that a little bit, and I'm more of a repairs focused, custom bike builds focused kind of bike shop. So I'm more
Right,
into like
right.
the manual labor, the custom building and
Well, I
stuff.
feel like you're probably doing pretty well right now too because everybody has a bike that needs to get fixed or everybody's trying to find a used bike or get one built up.
Right. So this is why I want to focus on that. I don't want to compete with the other guys. There's already a million
Nah.
guys selling a million bikes. And I'm sure this is my prediction for not just for bikes, but for oh shit, somebody dropping cash. But this is
What?
yeah, this is what was the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, my prediction for what is gonna happen pretty soon in terms of everything that's happened with money involved in the pandemic. And what I mean by money, I mean
Mhm.
there of course restaurants were hit pretty fucked up. Like they can't sell shit and they can't.
Damn.
They
Yeah.
got fucked. But for the guys that
They
were
got
able to do
fucked.
stuff like bike shops and even car mechanic shops are probably doing pretty well, and like other types of repair shops. So all of us, I think you're gonna notice that we sold too many fucking bikes last year. Way too many bikes. Like everybody's grandma and baby daddy has a bike right now. You know what I mean?
Market's pretty
Yeah.
saturated,
So
yeah.
the
Well,
market's
that's the thing is
extremely
it's not.
saturated. So what do you think is gonna happen to the price of bikes this year? It's gonna devalue
Well,
it.
the thing is that like there's still not the supply and there's still a lot of demand. So I feel like there's people that have been looking for bikes for a while, and I feel like if this pandemic keeps going on, because it's one of the only things you can do, like legally, like you're just not allowed to do anything else. And a lot of people are fucking like don't want to take the bus, don't want to do all that stuff. So like bikes, transportation, bikes, freedom.
That's what I mean. So like I think so. Wait, so you don't? Because my prediction was that maybe bikes were gonna become less valuable in the coming year because too many fucking people bought too many bikes. So you're gonna see them on OfferUp, you're gonna see them on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist and shit like this, right?
Yep.
Oh, but you think that we haven't fulfilled the gap? You think maybe there are more people trying to buy more bikes?
Oh yeah, I think until like shit really kind of closes down, like till everything's back open, that I think that's when people start selling their bikes. You know,
Damn.
because people are gonna think that they're still gonna ride it. People are gonna be like, "Oh, I got that bike over there. Like, I should probably get out." I feel like it's gonna take until we're out of shelter in place to fucking.
Well, hopefully you should, so we can make more money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm also looking forward to like people having bought a really expensive, nice bike and then not using it, and then selling it for cheap because bikes are cheaper now, and then being like, "Let me get that."
And you're riding your bike right now for work or just for fun?
Just like I've been doing a lot of the longer ones. I've been doing like the Mount Tam, like the 60-mile, 50-mile road rides.
Sick. I
yeah.
haven't rode my bike for shit, but I definitely want to. I just been commuting to back and forth from the shop, but I mean the shop is like fucking
2 blocks from your house.
2 blocks away. Yeah, so hey, how do you know that?
I've been to your house.
I'm just messing around. Yeah, so you know what I mean. Like in the near future, hopefully, everything gets easier. But hey, with everything that's happening, like, politics being topsy turvy, money being topsy turvy, the one thing that we can rely on is that the homies are still gonna be around.
People, yeah.
We're probably still gonna do whatever we
That's what's got
do.
me
You
through
know what I
this, to be
mean?
100%.
Like, we're gonna just
Was my
still
people.
exactly, like, we're still gonna conversate about different topics. We're still gonna keep an eye out on the public, the public
I
realm.
I consider myself really lucky that I got to see you and your brother pre-COVID, like literally the week before.
I know, right? Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That was a blessing. That was nice.
And I haven't had a DJ gig for like since then. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the world of music is also just flat. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I mean, it's crazy because I've heard a lot of DJs doing live streams and like trying to transition to that. And I actually watched like a 3-day live stream event, and it was nice. I was like, when shit gets back to normal too, would be down to just sit and watch people live stream DJ sets. Like that was great background noise, but it's definitely not the same as like being in a club somewhere with visuals and you're drunk and you're like, whoa, that was a crazy fucking mix, or that was a crazy fucking breakdown. And
Yeah,
stuff
it's
like that.
changing. But recently, what was it like last week or whatever? Finally, after the stay-at-home order was lifted, there was a few private events that I DJ'd at in the outside LA areas, not within LA County because I think there's still some restrictions here, but like other places outside of the LA County, I was able to go out there and do some music events here and there, and it was chill. I mean, there wasn't a lot of people. There was still a lot of protection that you needed to, of course, social distancing and the mask and all this, but at least there were people out, and man, I can tell people were thirsty for human interaction, you know what I mean? Like everyone was hella friendly, like people were talking about different things, and it was just incredible like to see how hungry people are for human interaction, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was at a bar just picking up my food because one of my favorite restaurants is in the bar kitchen. And this girl comes up to me and she's just shithoused. And she's like talking and her mask is like off and on and off and on. And in my mind, I'm like, wow, like she's really cute and she just wants to talk to me. Like, I'm okay with that. But part of me in the back of my mind is like, yo, she's really close and she's not wearing a mask. Like, this is kind of sketchy. I don't know where she's been. There's like new variants out or whatever. But like, that was just so. And then in that moment, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm worried about this, but I'm not. Like, why am I conflicted about this right now? It was funny. Anyway, I just took my food and left, but it was just wild to see everybody like, like we've all been following it for so long. I feel like that people are really burned out, and like right now, I think it's kind of dangerous because like, I mean,
have you seen it in the LA area, like prior to this last month or so? There was like a fuckload of big, humongous parties, bro. Like where the sheriffs and the LA County sheriffs came and raided it. It came out on the news and shit. Some of my friends got raided there, got busted, and it was just hundreds of people in the warehouse and shit. Strippers and shit. Ridiculous kind of stuff,
LA fucking does not play around.
Neither does the Bay Area. It happened out there as well, like Oakland, East Bay. There's like random illegal warehouse parties and underground. Like if you know the circuit, like if you've been around the underground scene, man, these after hours things never stop. You know what I mean? No matter what, like these people are gonna continue on. So in case you're wondering why some of the, first of all, like for me, I don't have too much concern, but of course I have to take precautions. I'm not gonna. I like to think of it this way. Even though I may not or may feel like the concern or threat is real or not, at the end of the day, you still have to take the precaution just in case. You know what I mean? In case you're wrong.
Like for me, it's like, yeah, the threat's fucking real. Like the science is there. They can't really just make up all that data. That being said, like, I'm like, this is a fucking sketchy situation. Like, people are making a lot of money off of this pandemic. People are making a lot of money off of this vaccine.
It's probably both. It's probably real, has affected people, and people are making money off of it and capitalizing.
I mean, it's fucking, like, I'm not denying it or saying that it's bullshit or anything like that. But, like, I don't know. I think I got really lucky because my 95-year-old grandma who lives in LA, she got it. My aunt, who's like 60-something, got it. My cousin, who's 30-something, and he got it the worst. My grandma just fucking shrugged it off. She's a It's fucking savage, bro. She just took that shit on the chin. She was fine. And then my aunt said like she was really sick for a little while. My cousin said he didn't move for like 3 weeks. He was out of it. He was like comatose. He said it was brutal. You know,
That's
so
crazy.
it affects everybody different. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, and I'm sure a lot of us have already got it, and we don't even know. You know, maybe. You know,
I mean, I feel like I feel like I have to have. You know,
yeah,
like
this is,
I've been so exposed. I've been working this whole
You know,
time. I was
my
like,
hometown, my hometown came out on the news. Linwood, California, recently,
shouts out.
2 days ago, came out in the news, for having the highest mortality rate and the highest infection rate of any city in California.
Is Linwood what demographic is Linwood predominantly?
You know, the Linwood demographic is going to be 80% Hispanic, 19% Black, and like 1% other.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's just fucking crazy because it's like, I feel like you can kind of look at it. I feel like the Hispanic populations, the Black populations, got really hit hard.
Yeah, and I don't think it has
shit.
anything to do with genetics. I think it just has to do with with
Access to healthcare and
certain other
like
structural
back in the day,
elements.
that's the thing. That's what we were talking about. How, you know, I don't want to insinuate anything, but like rich versus poor. You know, the rich people are gonna have the easiest fucking pandemic ever, while the poor people got to go out and work. And like, I don't know what the median income in Linwood is, but
The worst, bro. Linwood is one of the worst places because it's got the shittest pay and it's got the highest cost of living. A house in Linwood costs like $500,000 to $1 million, and everyone makes less than minimum wage or at least minimum wage.
I would not pay $1 million for a house in Linwood.
Hell no. Like somehow, you know, a lot of these houses are people that got grandfathered in. Maybe they bought these houses in the 90s or some shit, you know. But now, like, it's ridiculous, bro. And like, it's so overpopulated. There's way too many people in that little area. There's just no way, dude. Like, you go to Linwood now, and it's ridiculous, bro. It's like there's no parking anywhere. There's like 1 million people per house. You know what I mean? Like it's really out of control. But you know, and to the point that they've made it on the news, and I'm part of like other groups like Facebook, like, you know, like there's like neighborhood watch groups and stuff. Like the crime is rampant there, bro. I'm talking like murder is literally up 70% around here. Like people are.
That's fucking wild.
People's
Is it just robbing season, or do you think it's worse?
No, dude, it's everything. People are desperate. People are stealing catalytic converters. They're doing just licks. Or Bay Area, they call, like, we're gonna go hit a lick. But down here, you know, they're just like robbing people. They're just like, you know, yeah, violence is just up, bro. It's just crazy. Mm-hmm. People are bored. You know, people get bored. People don't have money. People don't have anything to stimulate them.
Recipe for some fucking. Some shenanigans.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
For sure.
So the Linwood's all over the news right now. You know, Linwood is the 7th worst city in the whole country. For real,
whole country.
In the whole country, yeah, the 7th worst.
Dude, what's number 6?
Number 6 is like somewhere in Memphis, Tennessee, and then
oh my god,
all those East Coast cities are kind of worse, to be honest. All the cold cities, I kind of feel bad for those guys. All those hoods up there, fucking Detroit must be fucking terrible right now.
Detroit's number 1 is the most dangerous city.
Detroit, that's wild. Detroit's always been up there.
St. Louis, Memphis, Baltimore, Monroe.
Yeah, Compton was the murder capital only for a little while until
Monroe, LA is number 5. Danville, Illinois is number 6. I mean, I'm sure we just saw like different reports. Oh, Alexandria, LA, that's like 2 in the top 10 for LA.
That's not good.
Wait, no, that's probably Louisiana.
And the Bay Area, I mean, I recently saw some reports out there from Oakland as well. They're not doing too well either. And San Francisco itself, I hear like there's
theft's up a lot, but I don't know about violent crimes.
But theft is up, right?
Bike theft is up like 1,000%. I hear about that all the fucking time. People's apartments get broken into. I don't know about catalytic converters. I don't think everything's like quite that gnarly, but I also feel like it'd probably be hard to kind of get away with a catalytic converter in SF.
Yeah,
like,
it's a smaller town. I think it's a little more difficult. Out here, the streets are spread out.
More of a maze. Yeah. You can just kind of book it down the street. Yeah. You're gone.
No, SF is kind of strange for shit like that, but at the same time, SF has other problems.
Yeah,
Homeless, I think.
definitely a lot of bike theft. I mean, well, that's the thing is it's interesting. Like homelessness, everyone points to like the liberal cities for being like hubs and issues of homelessness. But like, wouldn't you as a homeless person want to go to the cities where you get benefits? You know, where you can like survive.
I don't think it has any. Like, I'll tell you my theory on homelessness, and I've always wondered this too. Like, if I was homeless, I'd go to like Mount Tam or something. You know, I'd hike up there and I'd fucking sleep in the forest and take my little lunch and shit, enjoy the view. But like, why do homeless people gravitate? Like, why is it that the Tenderloin has all the homeless people? Why aren't they at Golden Gate Park? You know what I mean?
Well, because they'll get kicked out of Golden Gate Park, and like there are a few homeless people in Golden Gate Park, but there are people that are there by choice. You know, like if you think about it, the people that like hung out on a hate street and that kind of shit, they're like the people that they're like they think like you and me, and that's the thing.
So what gravitates everyone towards the Tenderloin? What gravitates all homeless people towards
because
Skid Row?
no one will kick them out from there.
Nah, it's drogas, my friend. Drogas.
Well, yeah, that too.
It's drugs. Look, drugs.
Yeah, right. Fuck. I that kind of was just in my head, so like that just went so without saying for me that I just didn't even think of it.
I know, sorry, right?
But you were completely right.
But homeless people go where the drugs are, and they're not gonna, they're gonna sleep right next to the man.
Well, yeah, but if you didn't have a fucking house or a way to get a job to get a house, like you'd probably want to do drugs too.
I'm more of a individualistic responsibility type of guy, where I'm more of a libertarian. I got no remorse for anybody.
You have the mindset where it's like you could absolutely, if you were put into that situation, I have no doubt that you could get out of it. Like you are a very responsible, very scrappy person.
It's not just that. I don't think it has to do with every individual, but I feel like I'll give you an example so you can get like my drift on where I stand on this. Because we don't always have to agree on everything, but one of the things that how I see homelessness is this: like, imagine you see an old lady, right, walking down the street. She's got a little cart. She's got some stuff in there, and she's pushing this little cart, and she's struggling, and she's really old, right? And she's like out on the street, just like doing stuff, and you're like, wow, like, why is this old lady out here? Why isn't her family helping her? Like, she's old, she needs help. Why is she on the street? Why isn't anyone helping her? That's just most people's thought. That's most people's first thought. My first thought is, what did this lady do that nobody gives a fuck about her and she ended up on the street? You know what I mean? Why don't her kids like her? Why don't the neighbors like her? Why doesn't anybody like her? You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of the time...
That's because you're an asshole, Rick.
A little bit. But this is what I mean by individual responsibility. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Everybody,
that's a good fucking point.
That can also be misconstrued and made into a far too opposing view kind of way, where you end up disrespecting homeless people instead of But of course, I think like
I kind of share that opinion a little bit in that, like, I got shipped off to a fucking program, and this is a story for another podcast, but I was basically in a young adult thing with in Utah with a bunch of other kids that had various issues. I was there for anxiety and depression, but there was kids there for like addictions to all kinds of things. The thing is that you have to want to change. You have to want to make that change. You have to really go for it and decide that you need to make that decision. And after that, I would be like, nobody goes through life completely alone. Nobody goes through life without help from anyone ever. Like, all of us at some point are going to have to lean on somebody else. And like, I think that's part of having a community and part of being like that. But you need to make the decision to find your community, to find those people that you can rely on, to cultivate those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need your inside fire needs to be lit in order for you to pull yourself out of the hole. No, I feel it. And I think that looking at specifically numbers, I think if I had to put my thumb on it, I think 80% of homeless people are there by choice, and 20% of homeless people are in the process of, either they're in a bad time, they're moving up from somewhere, maybe a terrible tragedy, maybe somebody passed away, they have nowhere to go, who knows. I think there's like a good 20% of homeless people out there that are how I describe homelessness: without a home, homeless, right? But with the need and the want to have a home. And then there are people that live on the streets. To me, that's not homeless people. That's just people on the fucking streets. You know what I mean? That's where they want to be. They're not homeless. They don't need a home. They don't want a home. You know what I mean? You give them a home, they'll give it away for,
drugs,
a dime,
for whatever they can get.
Yeah, and you tell them, hey, you can be in this home, but you just gotta be on no drugs, and they're like, nah, I'll take a pass on that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Drugs. Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like it's very difficult to become not homeless. I fully believe that.
Absolutely, bro. Everybody's on the edge right now, bro. Think about it. Everybody is on the edge of homelessness at all the time, bro. Even everyone I know is on the edge of homelessness. Everyone is living nobody has
paycheck
savings, bro. Nobody has
exactly.
savings. Nobody has money in the bank. You know what I mean? The resources are cut.
And the thing is that we could if this whole system wasn't designed to make a few people a whole lot of money.
Yeah, which is why I think we need to continue with all this Dogecoin shit, all this parler shit, all this.
Fuck the Dogecoin, but Bitcoin for sure.
Well, you know what I mean? Just alternatives to everything. I think the more we do that, I think the better off we're gonna be. Fucking decentralize everything.
Straight up. All right. I am down for decentralize everything. I'm down for fucking hack the planet. We should have this conversation again some other time, but I gotta get ready for bed, bro. I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, no, you look sleepy.
Thanks. I don't know how you got energy.
I don't, but it's all good. No, I'm slowly revamping the podcasting. So I'll be working on a few more episodes. Thanks for checking in with me and letting me test out my whole Skype apparatus thing.
Of course, bro.
Yeah, work out the kinks in the future.
Lots of love to you from San Francisco, you and your family. Say hi to your son for me.
Yeah, definitely. You'll get to meet him either virtually or in real life one of these days.
Hopefully in real life one of these days, yeah.
So
I'm coming down to LA the second I get the shot, so I'll hit you up.
Definitely, bro. And let me know, and we'll, hang around and do stuff, like always.
It'll be good to see you.
Absolutely, man. Take it easy. You have a good night. Peace
You
out.
well. Bye.